That's awesome. I think she's pretty incredible too. Okay. The recording back. All right. I'm going to play around with the functions just to make sure that nobody can annotate on my group and draw on my face as I talk here. All right, everybody's muted. I got the God button again. We are good. Let me spotlight. And again, for those of you who are newer to Zoom, if you click gallery view, you'll be able to see everybody's faces. If you click speaker view, you should just be able to see mine. And then if I'm sharing my screen, any documents, you'll be able to see that too. I want to welcome everybody. This is our Future Leaders meeting, and I'm seeing so many faces here. Obviously, you know, our district manager leaders and speakers on the agenda, and our veterans. Always love having my veterans here. But I see so many faces that I've been getting to know for a while. You know, the Jose's who have been here for, you know, second summer, and you know, veteran sales or veteran assistant managers at this point, people like Grace McDaniel that have been, you know, climbing up in the, you know, consistently campaign after campaign. I just love seeing the consistency in faces, and Moran, those individuals. But I love seeing the up and coming superstars, and I really love seeing all of our new reps. Aaliyah, I'm looking at you too, from, you know, it's second summer and been here for a while. I just love the veterans, and I love this group and the culture that we're creating. And we're building our 2021 management class and beyond. But I'm just as excited about our new faces, and those of you who have started this spring campaign and this summer. And I'll tell you that the advancement and management and becoming a leader is really up to you. And if the quicker you want to put yourself in a position of choice, a position of leadership, and empower yourself, you can. And we have, you know, reps that go from, you know, launching one summer in June, right around this time, to opening up their own branch and district office a year later. And then we also have some people like me who did the long path. And I sold Cutco, was an assistant and sales manager for 4 years throughout college, and then opened up my first office once I graduated, because there just wasn't a branch program at the time when I was in college. So there's all types of ways to lead, and all types of opportunities, and we're going to be sharing those today. But I just want to say thank you for taking time in your schedule, taking the time out of your day. We're in the middle of SC1 push, actually not in the middle, we're right at the beginning. Today kicked it off. I've been seeing sales going nuts this morning in all of our offices and all of the group me's, and it just makes me really excited about what our division is going to create this summer, and what we can do beyond. I think that the summer is so unique. We started early, which enabled us to have, you know, so many leaders in each of our offices, individuals like Anna Wakefield, just, you know, starting off strong, and then being able to consistently lead, Naga in the Boulder office, and Taylor following suit, and just bringing people into the loop, and just getting, you know, friends and leaders, and building culture. And I think that it's fun because we've been building this for a month, 2 months, but it really is just the beginning of the summer. It's June 15th. And any of the veterans will tell you that if you took June 15th any other summer, we would be thinking, gosh, we're at the starting point. This is like the starting gate for the summer. We've got SC1 ahead of us. We've got SC2 ahead of us. We've got a couple months of summer. And then especially since we're in a unique situation with schools and universities, depending on online versus longer winter breaks versus who knows, there's a lot of things that are up in the air with college. And what the district managers and I have been talking about and getting really excited about is that the opportunities for management and leadership are bigger and better than they've ever been before, because you can do it from anywhere. And whether you're, you know, right out of high school and going into freshman year, or you're graduating college, or you're a non-student and looking to fast track your way into management, we have easier opportunities for training, easier opportunities for learning and practicing and honing your skills, and the ability to work from anywhere. So, you know, when I was in college, I remember going away to school, and then I would have to drive back once a month. There wasn't even, you know, Skype back then. Like, Skype was new back then. It was a new technology. I drove back from college once a month for like one Saturday a month for, you know, all this training. And there was no ability to be part of an office unless there was an office in my college town. So now we have the ability where somebody could be away at school and they could help out as an assistant manager. They can train to run their office. And what you'll hear today from some of our managers is that the process of learning to become an assistant manager, district manager, branch manager is not that challenging as far as skill set. It's the same foundational core, you know, necessities that you need to be great as a rep. It's the willingness to learn, the determination to set a goal and to push towards it, and the ability to work, by yourself and work on your own when somebody's not breathing down your back. So it's that accountability, and the same things that make you great as a rep and put you in the position that you are now will give you the same opportunities to succeed as a branch and district manager if that's what you choose. You're going to be hearing from Trey McCullough, who started a year ago, just like maybe 14 months ago, and as a rep, and for those of you who know him, you're like, gosh, this guy's must have been around for a long time. He's got years of experience and only 14 months of action, and that's what we're able to create in Rocky Mountain, and that's the kind of opportunity, because we realize that summer break is short. College career is short. The importance of building your resume, building your income, and getting you to that next stage in life is short. And we want to take advantage of all those opportunities. That's why people like Trey, jump in, right away and say, "Let me at it. Let me progress and move forward in life, regardless of what my time and experience has been." But congratulations on being selected, and congratulations on being invited to this meeting. Some of you, again, I've met and know really well, and others I haven't met before. And there's a couple of you that just started this weekend. I saw a couple of your names that your managers were saying, and a couple of you just started on Saturday. So I hope this doesn't isn't too much in your face, but at least it'll open up the opportunities, and you'll see what is available with Vector. Either way, regardless of why you're here, regardless of what motivated you to jump on this meeting in the middle of the day today, you are a natural leader. If you're on this meeting, you're someone who wants to grow, wants to learn, and wants to become a better version of yourself. And you're somebody who probably wants to impact people. And if you're on this call, you probably want to impact your future inside and outside of Vector more than the average college student and more than the average summer job. Leadership Academy is our way of cultivating the next wave of incredible managers in Rocky Mountain Division. And when I think of leaders and managers, I don't think about just branch and district managers. I think about Cutco sales professionals, sales managers, and assistant managers on every level. But we're building towards the future, and we're always growing our leadership team. It's not like there's just one time that we're doing it. We're always looking for talent. We're always developing talent, and we have a great way of doing it, and we have a great track record of success, especially in our division. We have big goals in Rocky Mountain Division. We set out for 10 years of company dominance, and we've been national champions 5 times, and that means we're halfway there to our goal. And we've got a long stretch ahead, and we want to continue stomping on records and just breaking through, barriers and walls that nobody ever thought was possible in Vector. And that's what Rocky Mountain has always done, and that's what we'll continue to do. But in order to do that, we need great leaders. And you're going to hear from a handful of incredible leaders on the call today. I know you've been exposed to incredible assistant managers, sales managers, branches and districts just in your time that you've been here so far. And hopefully that will be you continuing to impact people that come after you. So I want to tell you about what we're looking for in Rocky Mountain Division. And I want to talk about our values as a division. I want you to jot these things down and just think about if this pertains to you, because if this is you, if most of this list hits home to you, then I think that management might be the right opportunity. So what we're looking for in Rocky Mountain Division, number 1, is natural leaders. We're looking for people who don't need to be told what to do at all times. Those who take initiative, right? And I think the Cutco rep position really teaches us initiative. And if you feel like you're able to manage yourself, manage your goals, and manage your success as a rep, then that transition shouldn't be too challenging. But natural leaders who don't have to be told what to do at all times. The second thing I wrote down, the second value, is hungry for learning. I look at Trey, and those of you who have been on key staff, as a branch manager, he takes an hour out of his schedule every Tuesday to be on key staff, because he knows that the more he's learning in every area of his business, the more he's going to be able to pay it forward and reteach those skills and certainly impact himself. But, when I think about hungry for leaders, I think about people who are always, asking the right questions, seeking answers, staying ahead of the curve, not waiting to be taught. That's a big one. Not waiting to be taught. Mid-grade perfectionist, I wrote down, right? Somebody who's hungry for learning is a mid-grade perfectionist. And I always think that in life, and certainly in a business like this, your pay is always a direct correlation to your knowledge base. Your pay is always a direct correlation to your knowledge base, because the more you learn, the more you earn, because you're able to impact different areas of your business, whether it's helping with recruiting and building an office or helping representatives hit sales levels. The third thing I wrote down, a core value for Rocky Mountain Division, is competitive. In Rocky Mountain, we are competitive. We never settle for mediocre. And it's not competitive where we want others to not do as well. It's that we look for inspired leaders and those who are ahead of us. That way we can strive to always improve our game. So being a team player, striving to get to the next level, but also bringing and carrying up those who are behind and helping those who came after us get to our level. So competitive on every level. I wrote down no drama. No personal issues brought to work. I know we have a young group and a young crew. The one thing that can really dismantle an office, especially an office staff, is drama. And I love that in Rocky Mountain Division and Cutco, we are young professionals. And we have, individuals who may be 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 years old in a lot of cases, but in every situation, they are young professionals that are years above their age as far as maturity, professionalism, and how they treat and respect others inside and outside of the workplace. So I put no drama as a core value in Rocky Mountain Division. And realizing that as much fun as this is, and as much as you can work with college friends, make a bunch of money, and go on trips and feel like a rock star, it's still a business, and it's a business that's going to help you now and help you in your future. I wrote down the next core value is 100% positive at all times. 100% positive at all times. Negativity is the first red flag and an easy way to make the cut in management. There's just no room for it, because somebody who's not seeking positive results and positive, positive answers and positive situations, that's going to hold back the team. So 100% positivity at all times. Negativity is the first red flag. Next core value I wrote down is great communication. Great communication, whether that's with your manager, whether that's with myself, or maybe Patty James, our division assistant. I'm going to do that for a decade plus until she has 5 kids and they're all last name James. All right. So Patty James, when she reaches out to your branch or district manager, certainly myself, great communication. If you're overwhelmed, in a certain situation, communicate that. And what I love about Vector people is that everyone's here to help. And I'll pick on Maddie because I can see her on my screen right now. But let's say Maddie's having a tough day or a tough week. Trey's never going to be upset by that. He's going to respect that she recognizes that in herself, and she knows that she needs some help and needs some help, just whether it's mentally getting through it or just somebody understanding that she's in a tough spot, communicating that with your manager, right? Positives and things that are challenging, having great communication. Next thing I wrote down was event attendance. 100% event attendance. And certainly things, come up if you had a family event or a wedding or something like that, but event attendance, whether it's a division meeting, a conference, an office event, so important to show that leadership, even if you don't think that you need that skill set or need that learning. I wrote down responsibility with learning, with assignments, and again, with communication. I jotted down accountability. Rocky Mountain managers are accountable. They do what they say they're going to do. I wrote down ethical. Rocky Mountain leaders are ethical. They do the right thing by their peers, by their customers, whether it's giving deals and free stuff or paying out prizes or contests, doing the right thing by your peers, by your customers, always being the ethical champion. I wrote down honesty. 100% honesty at all times. And I think that's important to Rocky Mountain leaders because, everybody, I should say nobody's perfect, and we all make mistakes, and I make a lot of mistakes, and I'm the first to admit when I do. And I think that's such a true sign of character when you can be honest, especially when you are not, pleased with the news that you have to deliver, right? So 100% honesty at all times. I wrote down punctual. Early to meetings and events. Being the first face on the screen. Trey is usually the first to jump on most of our meetings, and the more people see you, the more people recognize you, the more it helps you, right? It's like staying on the top of the social media feed. I wrote down respectful towards peers, respectful towards managers, always talking up about people versus talking down. In order to elevate your game, I look at it as kind of like Cutco and Henkel's, right? The more you build up Henkel's, the more it naturally builds up Cutco, because Cutco is always going to be a better product, right? If you work hard and you're putting up results and you're leading by example, you never have to talk about it, because your results will speak for themselves and other people will speak for you. So let's say that Rebecca is leading in her office in every category. She doesn't need to say that because everyone's going to see that and recognize that the more she builds people up and makes people feel good about their potential and how well they're going to do, the more it naturally lifts her up too. We call that reciprocal edification. Reciprocal edification is when you build each other up, it's better for everyone and better for the community. So respectful. I wrote down forward thinking, excited about the future. And maybe not just in Cutco, but we want leaders who are excited about their future inside and outside of the business. And the more you can talk about that, the more people will gravitate towards you, right? When Taylor gave a message the other day and talked about her goal and her dream of building businesses and using her Cutco experience as a stepping stone, that's just as inspiring as Trey saying, I want to become a district manager and I want to run my own office for years and years, right? So you being an inspired individual will inspire others. So forward thinking. I wrote down hungry for personal growth, hungry for personal growth. Not everybody's a reader, but find a way to grow yourself. Habits, activities, books, becoming the best version of yourself. I feel like there's no such thing as different parts of your life, your work life, your personal life, your social life. You are one person and you are who you are and you bring that whole person to every area and every area of your life and everything that you do. So you bring that whole version of you to work in your social life and your family and friends. So think about that growth. Who you become in one area of your life impacts, affects, and betters every area of your life. I wrote down hungry for professional growth. The skills that you can learn as a Cutco manager, whether it's, I think about like interview skills, learning how to run an interview as a college student. When I was 18, I learned how to run an interview. I thought, gosh, this is a life skill that no matter what career I go into later, I may have to, and I probably will have to interview people, especially if I want to keep on upgrading my position in whatever company I'm a part of. The ability to manage time, the ability to manage people, to create goals. I am blown away and just so grateful for the Vector people in our organization who have gone on to start businesses, to run companies, and the amount of startups and big companies that our Cutco people, our Rocky Mountain alumni are part of is really inspiring. And when I get letters and notes saying, I remember doing this when I ran my branch office. I remember doing this as an assistant manager. I remember that push week that we have. I had a buddy, a college roommate, just called me the other day, and he's a surgeon, and he created and invented this like study program, this online access study program for doctors around the world for test preparation. And basically it's a new version of test prep, and he started dabbling in it, and he's doing really well, making a lot of money, and he wants to scale that up. And he called me, and he was my freshman roommate in college. And he called me the other day and he said, we're really good friends. We talk about business all the time, but he's like, I need your help. The things that you used to talk about on how you started your Cutco office right out of college, and being able to build a team, being able to, manage people, be able to create goals, being able to come up with a staff, all of these things that were just, natural to me that I learned just through management training for Cutco when I was 18, 19, 20 years old. These are questions that he's a, really well-known and successful surgeon, but he's trying to learn basic business skills to develop and create and promote a program that he created. And these are, to me, basic foundational skills of running a business. And I just think about, man, our branch and district managers get to learn these skills at a time where they're able to have that core package for anything they do for the rest of their life. So becoming an assistant manager, branch manager, district manager isn't just about the knives. Just like selling knives isn't just about the knives, but it's so much fun. We have an incredible product. We have incredible customers. And the more knives we sell, the more, short-term benefits it gives us with pride, travel, income, whatever it is, recognition, advancement, but more so the future version of us. And I'm really present to that. So hungry for professional growth, learning skills that you can take to any business, learning skills that you can take with you for the next 30 or 40 years. I wrote down attire. And I wrote down dress for success. You don't have to be the fanciest dressed in your office, but don't be the sloppiest either. Okay. Don't be the sloppiest in your office. Don't be the one who underdresses. It's always better to overdress to an occasion than to underdress for an occasion. I wrote down professional in relationships. Here's what I'll tell you. We have a lot of really attractive Vector people in Rocky Mountain Division. one mistake, one decision, one flirt, one slide into a DM, one this, one that, can really affect in a negative way your professional view, right? 100 good things can be dismantled by one questionable act, comment, situation, drunk night, party. So what I'm telling you is that we do have fun, and we go on trips, and you heard me talk about limo trips and CSP trips to Cancun and stuff like that, and we have a blast. And I will tell you that it's not professional at all times, but on an office level and in situations where it's a meeting or you're in a PC, PDI, things like that at a conference, right? Rocky Mountain is a professional organization where, yes, there is time for fun, but we're professional relationships. So what I'm saying is, we have a lot of beautiful, attractive people in our organization. There are so many more that don't have rep numbers. So go after people who don't have rep numbers. Is that fair? Okay, good. I'm just saying, it's way easier for you and for your manager to not have that. All right. Next is willing to make, I don't know how else to put it. Just, make good choices in life. Willing to make sacrifices. I think Colin Cowherd, he's the ESPN analyst, he put it best when he said, I never feel bad for the person at the water cooler who everybody is talking about, like the day after the Christmas party when they got drunk and made a fool of themselves. Like, I don't feel bad for that person after that. That's how he puts it. All right, no more on that. All right, I put willing to make sacrifices, with whether it's schedule or events or conferences or just your time, there's going to be things where you're asked to take one for the team or go the extra mile or, put in that extra effort. And I think sacrifice, life and getting to the next level is making the right sacrifice. It doesn't mean that you're holding yourself back from the things that are important to you. It's just priority and realizing that the things that you're doing here will help you make all of those other things better as well. I wrote down somebody who can find solutions, I'll bring Trey up as an example again, because he just asks a lot of questions. Anytime he doesn't know the answer to something, he just finds who's going to be the best to give me the answer that I need on this question. Don't wait to be taught. Trey was just in Kevin's ear all year. Teach me this, teach you this, even when he didn't feel like he was ready. I wrote down clean. And what I mean by that is a drug-free vector environment. Listen, we live in Colorado, and also you're human beings, so you can make whatever choice you want in your life. Can we all agree on that? You're adult human beings, and you can do whatever the hell you want. So just have to realize that the things that you do in your time that affects, it can affect Cutco, right? It can affect your job. It can affect school. It can affect relationships, right? So make good choices how you do things, but certainly don't come lit to any Cutco events. It's not becoming of you. It's not becoming of our organization, and it's not the organization that we want to be. We're young professionals that absolutely kick ass in everything we do, and certainly that can be part of your life, but it doesn't have to enter into your work world. Is that fair? So good. All right. Next, I wrote a great example for our company and our divisional brand. Some people talk about Facebook, like the types of things in social media. If you're influencing a ton of people in your organization, how are you a leader in other areas of your life? And the last thing I wrote down is a CEO mindset. If you were a publicly traded company, would somebody invest in you? Because basically, as an assistant manager, your manager is investing in you because you would earn a percentage off of the office in pay, and your manager is investing in you to be a part owner for that duration of the time that you're an assistant manager in the office. So essentially, you're a VP or a part owner as an assistant manager. And branch manager, district manager, you're a CEO of your own organization. So if the company is going to invest in you, the startup funds, and if we're going to invest in you, the time, energy, and the territory, we need to know that we're investing in a good product, right? So you're an investment in yourself, you're an investment in us, and the company as well. All right, I want to chat about the three positions that are available, and then we'll bring up our first speaker, Mr. Trey McCullough. First is assistant manager, and I know that just by looking at the faces, I think half of you on the call are assistant managers, and you're already familiar with how the assistant manager program works. But I want to speak a little bit to assistant manager. I want to speak a little bit to branch manager, and then a little bit to district manager, and then we will dive in with our speakers. So the assistant manager role, and it to me was my most rewarding position because I had done it the longest in college. As I said, there was no branch manager program the 2 years that I was eligible for it. They took it away for those 2 years. So I would have run a branch in a heartbeat. I don't know. I say that now. At the time, I would have been scared out of my freaking mind. I would have been absolutely a nervous wreck, and it would have taken me a lot to convince myself to do it. But that's, again, that's why we're here, and that's what the program is. So I knew I would have been scared, as confident as I am now in that. But I was an assistant manager and sales manager for 4 years, went away to Penn State, came back summer after summer, and just continued to elevate my game as assistant sales manager and then pilot sales manager. I loved that I was able to lead by example. And I think I've told many of you that when I was an assistant manager, it was a little bit different back then, where the amount of time that we put in. I was an assistant manager for 6 days in the office, early in the morning until late at night. And I had 1 day off. In that day off, I did 5 demos a day every time I had a day off as an assistant, because I knew that the power of my role as an assistant manager was out of credibility and respect. And I was 18 years old and didn't, have a ton of experience other than selling Cutco. And so I knew that the more Cutco I sold, the more credibility I had as an assistant manager. So if I was sitting down with somebody, for a PC or a PDI call and coaching them on their goals and helping them build a schedule, they need to know that I have done that myself. You can't just say, hey, here's how you sell a lot of Cutco, or here's how you build your schedule. Nobody cares about what you say until there's credibility behind it. And I knew that the more I sold, the more respect I would get giving talks at team meetings, whether it's at conferences, training, and certainly putting myself in a position of choice when it came to getting a territory selection. I worked really hard as an assistant manager to have, my skills be the best. Patty has an assistant manager group me and the weekly call for training, and she keeps track of stats. I was so intense about making sure that my name was always, as high in the standings in every category that I could. I took that extremely seriously. I knew all my sales results, my stats, and I drove, my personal sales forward as high as I could go. And I was, every push week, it was the most important 2 weeks of my entire life every time I came to a push week, because I knew that champions stepped up during that time, and so that leadership and putting myself at the top of the assistant manager class was important, because it gave me those options later. But what I loved about it, I loved recruiting. I loved giving people the opportunity. I loved seeing, a rep just shaking somebody's hand and saying, welcome to the team. You got the job. That is like it just makes my heart explode every time I do it. I'm 35 years old now, and I've been recruiting for almost 2 decades. And I'm just like, in a decade and a half, let's keep it at that. We'll go on the lower end of the average scale there. But it just makes me so just unbelievably, the love tank is filled when you're given the opportunity. And I love that. I love building a big team. I remember, aggressive recruiting that, I would try to get as many people on the team as possible, whether it was my personal recruits and my friends, or, anybody in interviews, or handing out business cards at the malls or movie theaters. I was just passionate about building the team and sharing the opportunity. I loved that I was able to teach and coach and lead people who are in my same position, who are my same age. And I had that respect, not because of, of title, but because of earned respect. Assistant managers get paid a percentage based off of office sales, and it depends on the schedule in the office. We have assistant managers that work a couple shifts, a couple hours just on recruiting focuses, whether it's, social media, or running interviews, or helping with personal recruiting. We call it blitz days, where we just call as many people about the job as possible and invite as many people onto the team as we can to build our team and build our culture during the short period of time in the summer, all the way up to a sales manager position, which is somebody like, Maritza Huichon Perez, who's going to be on the agenda in a few minutes. She was the sales manager in the North Denver office for 2 years, along with Shabnam Ruzgani, and the two of them were sales managers, ran Maz's office side by side with him until they got the opportunity to run their own. Michelle Sungi in Albuquerque. And so you think about a sales manager being able to do all of the same activities that a district manager can. I look at people like Aaliyah Firkins and Grace, up in Fort Collins, that are learning those skills to be able to say, hey, Adam, if you're on vacation, or if you're on a company trip, we got this for a week. We can take care of it. We can do all the recruiting, all the training, all the rep management, run the team meetings, run the advertising program. So there's a wide range for assistant managers. The percentage can be anywhere from 0.25% of office sales up to 2% of office sales. And that depends on the role and the responsibility and the volume of sales for the office. office. But that means that if an office had a $10,000 sales week, if I was at 1% as an assistant manager, then I would make $100 off the office that week for my office schedule. If the office sold $30,000 that week, if I was at 1%, I'd make $300 in income off the office that week. So I loved it because the dual income and the best of both worlds, and certainly the stepping stone opportunity towards future Cutco goals. Next is branch manager. And you're going to be hearing this a lot from Trey and Maritza and your other speakers, but branch manager in my mind is the greatest entrepreneurial endeavor that you could take as a college student. It's designed for college students, but you don't have to be in school. In fact, with our new opportunity and availability with our schedules and flexibility and being able to work remotely, the company is talking about having a branch program over winter break. And we are actually, so if anybody is thinking about this, I know we've got some veterans and some people are like, oh, I kind of wish I went branch this past year. And maybe, somebody like Rachel, who's like, I got time ahead of me and I want to go after something. So we have the ability where a branch office might not have to wait until next summer. And I'm not sure what the details could look like, but there could be an opportunity for some short-term branch offices, even over winter break at preparation. The other thing is that because we're completely virtual and we realize that we have the ability to start and, an office and build a great culture, within 1 or 2 weeks of, a couple trainings and a couple sharp individuals on our team. So, anybody who's interested in branch or district might not have to wait until next summer, but that's also typically when we do it. But it's a summer management opportunity for summer campaign from May until August. And, I think some of the perks of running a branch, certainly aside from running your own business and having all of the, the responsibility, that CEO mentality that you're going to hear from in just a few minutes, the perks. I love that as a branch manager, you get startup funds. All of our branch managers, if it's a virtual office with no office rent, get $3,000 in startup funds, $6,000 for anybody that rents an actual physical office space. So most of the expenses for a branch office are already paid for by the company. So it doesn't take a whole lot of personal finances to build your own business. Now, we do require startup funds, and we'll talk about that at future meetings. We're not going to talk a whole lot about that today. I know some of the speakers might mention, save a little bit. It's more just for habits and peace of mind. When you're good at savings and you're good at managing money, it means you're able to manage a business better. You'll be able to manage your expenses as a branch better, and you'll help your people be able to manage their money better. So you're not necessarily going to use your own money, but just for personal savings and peace of mind. Trey had a bunch of money saved up in his personal account. He hasn't touched it. He hasn't used it because he just started making a bunch of money from his branch. But going into the summer and just having that confidence, saying, what if I have to, all my food, all my gas, all my fun money, everything is taken care of. That way I can just focus on running my business. So savings is a big thing for us, but the company basically pays for most of your expenses, or I would say all of your expenses for the most part. So even a branch office that doesn't sell a lot, there's almost no chance of failing. And I think that's the question we used to get is like, what if I put all my time, effort, ego, whatever into, running an office? Can I fail? No, there's no such thing as failing an office. The only thing that is failing is if somebody gives up during the process. And you know what, there's always an opportunity to grow, always an opportunity to have success. And I just think the branch manager position is the most unbelievable entrepreneurial experience with no risk. I mean, to be able to run a business without having to put up tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to run basically a little franchise. There's nothing else like that around. The company trip this year, all of your branch managers are going to Madrid, Spain. They get to qualify as an office if the office sells $125,000 for the year. Or there's a second way they qualify, and that's if they sell $10,000 in personal sales, just themselves, for the month of August. And that August is a 5-week month in the Vector calendar. You're probably thinking, wow, that's not a lot of sales, and to win a trip to Madrid. And that's why we want travel, and company trips are really important to our organization. And that's why we want every branch manager to win. So Trey, I think, is on the cusp of winning this summer already. But company trip, also our branch managers get a straight 50% commission pay for July through August. So 3 months of the summer, starting July, the first week of July, for the next 3 months, any branch manager who runs an office, any personal sales, they get straight 50%. They don't have to wait for bonus. They don't have to wait till the end of the month. So if Trey sells a trimmer for, $60, $70, he'll make $35 in that week's paycheck on that trimmer right there on the spot. So 50% straight commissions for those 3 months, the company trip, and also all of a manager's office sales count towards their personal sales. So let's say Trey's office does, $100,000. You're almost at that level. Let's say it does $100,000 for the summer. That will be tacked on to Trey's personal sales, which means that already to this point, Trey is already at 50%. So when his branch is over, he's at the 50% commission level, because between his office sales and his personal sales, he's at over $150,000 in career sales at this point with his branch. So that's a pretty nice perk for being a branch manager as well. Some people say, well, I have, all this experience, but I kind of feel more comfortable being an assistant manager. Should I run a branch or should I be an assistant manager? I say, it takes the same skill sets to learn to become an assistant versus a branch. So you might as well just put yourself in position to run an office. And at least if you think that would be a cool opportunity, if you train and you learn how to become one, then as a fallback, you'll be the #1 best trained sales manager in the company. And that's what I always say is learn and train how to run a branch, because then you'd be the most impactful on an office level. As far as the training and the speakers, we'll talk about this. Everything is on video. Everything is quick and compact, and it's kind of a press play opportunity. Whether it's interview, video, it's easy and quick to learn the skill set as long as you're passionate about your objective and what you're doing. For branch managers, the pay. Typically, in the past, we've said that the break even for a branch office is $20,000 or $30,000 in sales. As long as an office sells $20,000 or $30,000, that's the break even point. Everything after that starts profiting. But what we've seen, especially in this summer with a totally virtual program, is that our branch managers pretty much profit from the start, and there's not really a break even point. So we usually say that 10% is the average income for a branch office based on office sales, and it could be up to 12-15% depending on the expenses and how tight a branch manager is with their budget and how efficient they are. But anywhere between, I would say 10 and 12% is the average income for a branch office based on sales, and that's not including personal sales. So if an office sold $50,000, that branch manager would earn about $5,000 in income savings after expenses, and then 50% of any of their personal sales for the summer. If an office sold $100,000, that would be roughly $10,000 in income and savings from the branch, and then 50% of any personal sales from the summer. We have branch managers that break even and they make a couple $1,000s, but it was the best and greatest experience of their entire life, and they wouldn't trade it for anything, even if they probably could have made more just selling that summer, because they realized the importance of the experience. And then we also have branch managers who have saved $10, $15, $20, $30, $40,000 in income in the summer. We have Nick Smith in the Southwest region. He earned, I think, $60,000 or $70,000 in income in his branch summer as a college student earnings. How do we decide where branch managers go and who gets a territory? We've got about 15 or 20 territory options in the Rocky Mountain division. So we look for anywhere between 15 and 20 branch managers from summer to summer. So there's plenty of openings, plenty of opportunities. We could put a territory anywhere, but we decide it based on 3 things, and that's skills, sales, and savings. Skills, sales, and savings. That's how we decide territories. Savings, again, more about savings habits. Skills, meaning skill sets with sales and management, whether it's recruiting skills, teaching skills, and then sales skills, of course, as well. So leadership by example, and putting yourself in a position. If somebody can sell and be consistent with their personal sales, there's a lot of trust and there's a lot of value in that. All right, and then district manager, and I'll let Athena and Kevin talk more about the district manager opportunity, because the difference there is the summer never stops, and it's basically being on summer break permanently your entire life. It's the greatest job in the world, the most rewarding job in the world. Bonuses and trips and travel. I'm looking at Jenna gone now. The amount of travel and the places just in the past 2 years since she's been in our division that we've been able to experience, it's when I think of my district managers, I think of all the countries that we've gotten a chance to sit there and cheers and do a toast, and the amount of experiences that we've been able to have together, whether it's on stage holding trophies together or traveling and experiencing life. It really is something that I'm incredibly grateful for, the district manager opportunity. So we are looking to build, as I said, with the right people, with the right work ethic, the right attitude, and the right commitment. And I'm really happy with how we're building and who we're building so far. I want to bring up our first speaker, Mr. Trey McCullough, and Trey, I'm going to spotlight your video here. I'll ask you to see if I can get you to unmute. There we go. Perfect. Well, Trey McCullough is our branch manager out of the Castle Rock office, started in the Colorado Springs district office with Kevin Barth. He started April 4th, 2019. So not even 14 months ago, just right at 14 months ago. Last summer, he sold over $30,000 worth of Cutco, so getting up to 45% in his first summer. He sold $4,800 in his fast start, which got him a solid start there. Goes to Heston College. He's a sophomore, a basketball player. He's a tall glass of water, as I like to say, and just I think just one of the most hardworking, and it translates from basketball to Cutco, one of the hardest working management candidates that I've seen. And one of the reasons why Trey's having so much success, and you hear his name so much, is because he just put his head down and focused on learning. And he crossed his T's and dotted his I's. He asked the right questions, and he just kept on working hard. And admittedly so, he felt like he was behind the entire year. And he felt like he was in last place in the branch class because he's like, I feel like I'm behind. I don't know this. I missed this. I need to. And he was just so focused on making sure that he didn't miss anything. But even feeling behind, that attention to detail, he's number one in our branch class so far for the summer, making a big impact on a lot of lives in Colorado, or in Castle Rock. Let's give it up for Mr. Trey McCullough.
Awesome. Thank you, Drew. Thank you. I say this and I start this with every meeting. Turn on your cameras. I want to see your smiling faces. I want to see all of your smiling faces. I don't like talking to names. I want to see smiles. Let me see your homemaker smile. Yeah, Mrs. Jones, 1326. Cool. Perfect. Awesome. So I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit about me. Like Drew said, I did start in the North Colorado Springs office. And I came off to a really fast start. I was able to sell $10,000 in my first 3 weeks on the job. And that was around school, that was around basketball, that was around sports, and I was around being a high school senior. And just the experience that I got just from selling, I loved it. And then Kevin offered me the assistant manager opportunity. And once I took assistant manager, I took that and I ran with it. I didn't know that being a branch manager was a thing until SC1. And at SC1, Drew gave a little branch message like we are right now. And I was like, yo, Kev, I want to do that. And he's like, well, let's slow down. You just got promoted to an assistant manager. Let's focus on that first. And I was like, no, Kev, like branch. And it was kind of all like history from there. And so one of the main reasons why I did decide to go branch was because I wanted to be a business owner. My goal throughout my entire life was to own my own business. I did DECA, I did FBLA, I did a ton of other stuff like that. And this was right up my alley. The best way it can equivalent being a branch manager, it's a real life DECA role play, but at the end, instead of getting a grade, you get a paycheck. So I was really good at DECA, and I was like, I'll be really good at this. I loved being an assistant manager. And when the branch opportunity came up, I was like, sign me up. I want to do it. Being branch, you get to go to Olean, New York and see where all the knives are made, which is really cool. And that's probably what gave me the extra motivation, the extra log on the fire. Being able to see the factory, see how the knives are made, being able to meet the factory workers, the people who hand make every single one of our knives was just so compelling. And then I knew that being branch was being something, a part of something bigger than myself. It's not just about my branch. It's not just about my earnings. It's about supporting the city of Olean. It's about being a part of the Cutco organization and helping an entire company and an entire town of Olean produce knives and help them get money and help them get jobs. And so that's when I knew that I really wanted to go branch, and that's when I got serious about it. I signed up for the leadership academies, and after those leadership academies, I was learning so much. My notebook, I was just taking pages and pages and pages of notes. And like Drew says, the more you learn, the more you earn. And that is so true. I'm always asking questions because I'm like, I feel like I'm always like one step behind. And so I'm always asking like those extra questions, like those extra 9 yards. Drew gets mad at me all the time after our DM and BM meetings. He goes, I bet you Trey's going to be the last one. He's going to ask me something. And it's because you just have to really just seek and just go for it. Alex Mazurek says this all the time, just full send, full freaking send. And that's what I did. I was like, I feel like I'm kind of a little bit behind. I got on the leadership academies. I know how to do everything. Now it's just time to do it. There's no risk, no thinking, no dipping your toes in the water. I just jumped right into it, and I've never looked back, and I've loved it ever since. I've developed some really good assistant managers, and just to see the growth and development and other people and being on the opposite end of it, it's a great feeling. It's a really unique feeling I've never felt before. And that's one of the reasons why I opened my branch, was to help develop people, to help people to change lives. It's not about the knives, it's about changing lives. And so what I've learned and what I've loved from branch is seeing the growth in people. Looking at some of my assistant managers who are on the call, Anna Wakefield, looking at her, seeing her growth, her becoming an assistant manager. Last summer in training, I recommended her and she said no. And then this summer, she was like, Trey, I saw how successful that you've been and I need a job. And so now she's here. Maddie Pryor, one of her friends, Bailey Geisel, all my assistant managers, like from where they gone to where they are now, it just is such a fulfilling feeling. And that's what I love about branch, is being able to change those lives. I've learned a lot through this branch. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about mental toughness. I've learned a lot about finances and the kind of the more business side of things, which is something that I kind of struggled with in the beginning. But I've just absolutely loved it. There was a lot of scary moments doing my first interview and doing my first training without Kev there. Being ready to ask him questions was kind of nerve-wracking. Running my first interview was really scary, but after that, I do trainings and interviews like it's nothing. I love doing them. They're so easy now. They're light. And so my biggest advice to you guys would be, the biggest risk of all is not taking risk. Step out of your guys' comfort zone. I didn't feel like I was ready. Drew talks about it all the time. I felt like I was the very last spot in my branch class. I thought I was going to be 0. I thought I was not even going to put an order on the board. I don't know anyone from my territory. I didn't know anyone from my territory. So being able to build my branch where I am now and being able to take that risk and step outside my comfort zone has probably been the biggest leader to my personal growth, my personal development, my professionalism, and everything like that. I just become so much more organized, so much more clean. Even in my personal life, I make my bed every morning now, and my bathroom countertops all clean. And my mom cleaned my room the other day. She's like, "Why is your room being clean all summer long?" I was like, because I have to be organized. If I don't feel organized, it's just everything's off. And she's like, Trey, you're becoming a man. I was like, I know, I'm almost 19 years old and I'm making my bed and cleaning my bathroom now. I'm like, what is going on? And I blame that 100% on branch and just being able to be in control of everything in my life. And my only tip is just to go for it. Don't look back and just go for it. Because like Drew said, you are not going to, you get a startup, there's no risk going in. You can only make money. You can only go up. And so that's what I did. I just dove in and never looked back.
Let's give it up for Trey McCullough. Trey, I have noticed as well the past couple of months. I mean, you're shaving cleaner, more regular haircuts. I mean, your mom must be the proudest. And it's so much fun because when I see you running your meetings, sometimes she's in the background while you're at your home office in quarantine. So it's unbelievable to watch you work. I've been incredibly impressed, and more so just the as you said, what you're able to create in your territory, the opportunity that you've provided to so many unbelievably talented individuals in the Castle Rock area. That's the most special thing, because your branch is one summer, and well, probably 2 or 3, but your branch is one summer, but what you've created for your team is going to take them for many years in Cutco, but many more years for each of them outside of Cutco with what you're able to provide. I love that. As far as territories, we've got Tristan Moyer's running the Farmington office, but because of COVID, he lives in Denver, and he's running his Farmington office because he hasn't been able to have a chance to get down with office space and social distancing. So the flexibility that this has provided to us really creates some new opportunities. So one more time for Mr. Trey McCullough.
Thank y'all.
Trey,
Thank y'all.
I know those comma paychecks that you've been getting every week, not too bad either. But all right, I will. Next up, our next speaker is Miss Maritza Huitron Perez, and Maritza is my pilot sales manager, and I'm going to try to limit myself here because I could talk for I could just talk for so long about Maritza. She is. Let me get your spotlight here. To be in the position to run the South Denver office, you have to be a unique individual. You have to be somebody who can deal with me first and foremost. You have to be somebody who has the toughest skin available, because you've got to be able to always be that positive person to basically act presidential and act like a DVM, and then but also always get the blame for anything that doesn't go wrong. So I'm just kidding. But Maritza is as a two-time branch manager, two of the top branches in Rocky Mountain history. She started in the North Denver office. Now, by the way, Maritza was a sharp individual before she started Cutco. So she was in DECA. She was the president of Key Club. She was the president of National Honor Society. She was in the IB program. She went to Thornton High School, by the way. So Key Club, National Honor Society, International Business Program. She was captain of the softball team. She was a leader in DECA. That was all in high school before Cutco. Started with Cutco June 20th, 2016. So she didn't start until next week, her first summer. So she started in the middle of SC1 push. She's at $90,000 in personal sales, not including her branch offices. She saved her first branch summer. She saved over $5,000. Her second branch summer, she saved over $10,000. Came back to work with Maz a little bit in the north. Well, actually, no, I stole you straight from your branch to come into South Denver. Didn't even let her go back home. She's that talented. She's that powerful, that special of an individual. There's nobody else that I would have my trust in running the South Denver office right now than Maritza Huitron Perez. So can you please tell everybody about your branch manager experience? Let's give it up.
Awesome. Can you guys hear me okay? Can I get thumbs up? Okay, sweet. Awesome. Hopefully I'm not too bright or orange. I don't know. It's just my lighting. But either way, so I guess, guys, I grew up, in a position where I always needed to provide, right? So, and some of you guys might be feeling the exact same way. Well, maybe, right? Similar story, who knows? But I was always just I did everything. Right. I did everything. I was involved with everything because, my family is first generation here in Colorado. And I was which is really exciting, by the way. So I was always working, I guess you could say. I always had a lot of responsibilities growing up, and I never complained about it though. I loved it. I loved everything. I was always involved with everything just because I wanted to. I just wanted to be good at everything. I remember coming into this job, and I think one of the first things that I ever heard was, if you're going to do something, you might as well be great at it. And I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I've been doing my whole life. Right. So, because if you're going to do something, you might as well be great at it. And now I'm here, and I'm going to try not to get too emotional because the job's just done so much for me. Right. So, but a little bit of background story. Yes, it was really cool because I studied abroad my junior year, and so when I came back from Japan, I was super just ready to crush life. I was like, okay, next big thing, and it was so cool because I got a letter in the mail, and then I heard about it that way. I started school a little bit later, so going into my senior, I was already 18 and stuff, and I got a letter in the mail, and then I heard about it, and I remember booking my own interview, and I was like, this is the next thing. I was like, I'm going to see what this is about, and going to my interview and just loving everything about it. Just the moment I walked into the North Denver office, I remember getting the job, and I was just so excited. But I probably didn't have that support right from the bat, right? I was the worst, just so you guys know. Oh my gosh, I was the worst. Trey absolutely crushed it. I know so many people who absolutely just crushed the job. I was the complete opposite, right? So I'm excited to kind of talk to you guys a little bit because, if I can do it, you can do it too. I was I sold 300 CPO my first 10 days. Yeah, 300 CPO. It's so bad. I know, it's embarrassing. Right. And then I remember, what's so funny though, is I remember just being so excited. out of every single demo. I was just so excited to like call, Maz, because he was my manager. Be like, yep, so, it was a no sell, but it was so much fun. And we had so much fun. And I'm pretty sure Maz just, at that time, he was probably just thinking back of his head, wow, like, I don't quite understand Marenta, but she's excited. So, it was really cool to go through that first summer. So again, I wasn't the best at sales, but I was really good. I just wasn't the type to throw in the towel. If I wanted something, I was going to go get it. And I remember seeing all this success around me during the team meetings. And I was like, I want that. I want that. Because before, anything vector related, if I wanted it, I went after it and I did it and I made it happen. Right. So from being president for many clubs to just being team captain to just all these things. My senior year was busy, by the way, so busy. But like it taught me a lot too about time management. It taught me about like balancing myself out. It taught me how to have everything. Because I 100% agree that if you want to have everything, you can. You just gotta like figure it out. You just gotta know how to like do it. And if you can do that, then you're going to do just great. So, I was the busiest senior ever. It was like school. I also had another job. I was working at Safeway at the same time. So I remember I was only able to do demos on the weekends. And, but I was always a newsletter rep, when I was in school, always, just because I had such high expectations of myself. And I think it did take the first summer to actually pop. And then when I was in school, I remember the first push I ever went for was like Cabo, and I took it so seriously. And then I popped. Oh my gosh, actually that was my turning point in my career, was a Cabo push. And I remember just winning this trip, and I was like, I'm going to Cabo. Like what? I was like 18, and then just winning that trip. I think after that trip, I just stuck around. It wasn't easy, at first, especially because, by the way, I didn't even have my own car. And so there's like, I just thinking about all these things, and I was like, man, I went through I had to do all these little things, but I made it happen, right? So, but either way, I really love where I am now, and there's just so much you can squeeze out of this company. It's ridiculous how much you can squeeze out of this company and how much you should. And just, like Trey was mentioning, just go for it. But either way, I think you need a big why, and I had a big why. And that was like my family. I do everything for my family. And so yeah, so that was really cool. At first, Mom didn't get it. She's like, you want to sell knives? I'm like, that's what you want to do. I'm like, yeah, I want to sell knives. I'm gonna go try this out. I was definitely not selling too much at first, but I just kept at it. I don't know what it was, guys. I wanted it. That's it. And then it popped. It's, Cutco karma is such a real thing. And you guys know all about Cutco karma. You've experienced it yourself, but man, it's such a real thing. And I, eventually I turned it around. I remember, when Maz promoted me to an assistant manager, I was like, yeah, I'm up for it. Yeah, I want to do it. And then, I remember how I got inspired to go branch. Let me tell you a little bit about it. There was this assistant manager at that time. His name was Kaden Montoya, and an incredible person. And he went branch. And I remember when he went branch, I don't think anybody expected Kaden to be the #1 branch that summer, right? Because there's so many high-powering individuals that summer. It was ridiculous. And I remember going to the conferences like SC1 and SC2 and just seeing all these branches go up there. And, I don't think I don't know if, if anyone ever expected Kaden to just crush that summer, but he did. Oh man, he did. And I remember, Kaden was definitely my inspiration to go branch. And I was like, Kaden could do it, I could do it. And I actually decided to move. So the current branch manager is Tristan over at Farmington. So that was my territory before. So I went branch for 2018, and then I went branch for 2019. And I remember I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this right. And just being a go-getter that I was in everything that I've done prior, like sports and academics and clubs, some of the tips that I would kind of mention that I just want to, throw out there ahead of time is try it, like Trey was mentioning, but if you're going to do it, you got to commit to it, right? If you're going to do it, you got to commit to it. And if you're going to do anything in life, you might as well be the best at it. So naturally, I was always on top of my Leadership Academy assignments. Naturally, I started social media stuff early. Naturally, I just started doing all of these things ahead of time because, first tip is to try it. Second tip is to commit to it. But the third tip I would have for you is start early, right? I wanted it to be like if I was going to go all out, I was going to go all out. So that also meant starting ahead of time for everything, and any recruiting activity I could start ahead of time. I was getting ready to move for the first time ever in my life. I've never ever lived on my own. I was like 19, right? So, and I decided, I remember when Drew was talking about territories, I just naturally decided I was going to go out of state. I was like, I want to go out of state for this. And I remember Drew telling me what the options were and, which ones I had to work really hard to prove myself for. And, and I obviously was the hardest working person. So I got to pick my first choice, right? Which is nice. So always, start everything early, because if you start everything early, and if you're just on top of it, you're going to be able to have, choice, put yourself in a place of choice. And I decided to just pack up my car, move 7 hours to Farmington, New Mexico. I remember finding an apartment that I've never even seen before, but I just got in. I was like, okay, I'm moving there, and just being in a territory that I've never lived before. It was so much fun. I had purpose, like waking up, having a routine, getting dressed up for your day, because you're gonna go out there and do something meaningful is so much fun. And I think that's what I loved most was I was 19. I was like, I'm my own business owner. Being able to go to your office, unlock your own office is the best feeling ever. And so that was really cool. I love that I had purpose and I was doing something. Another reason why I moved, guys, was because I mentioned family is such a big deal to me. It's the reason why I do everything. But I also realized that I needed to move. And the only way I could grow and my family could grow is if I did move, because my family relies on me too much. And it was cool to see that during that summer when I branched, I came back, my family also figured it out too. It's like they grew with me, and so that was really cool too. So first summer, by the way, I did 125K. So I did hit the company trip. That was awesome. And then I learned so many things. I learned financial skills, like Trey had mentioned. I learned that there's no such thing as instant gratification. It's all about delayed gratification. I learned how to carry myself and how to actually just do the daily things needed to be successful that nobody else wants to do, right? But most importantly, I learned that you can't just preach about things. You actually have to do it, and back up your words, right? I also learned how to take care of myself. I don't know about you guys, you might be the same way where, man, you were always just like you're always there for people. But the thing is, you can't be there for other people if you don't take care of yourself. I think that's the biggest thing I learned after my 2 summers of branching was that I wasn't good at taking care of myself, and that once I took care of myself, not only could I perform at higher levels, but I could also just be better in life and be there more for my people. If I'm being completely honest, guys, for me, the reason why I went branch was it was all money related. I just really wanted to put myself in a financially, stable place. But it was after my first branch, it became more than just the money. It was being a part of other people's lives and being able to be an inspiration. And I have people who, like my reps, I have so much fun with my reps and my current team, and all of my reps that I had out in Farmington, my 2 summers back to back, they still text me and call me. It's just so great to be a part of their lives. But anyway, second branch, I did 165. So it was really cool to see that growth. And then I remember coming back and I remember it was like, okay, well, what's the next step? And I was like, hey, Drew, I want to be your pilot. Let me be your pilot. Let's go out there and break records. I'm ready for it. I don't want anything easy, right? We don't want anything easy here. So that's why I went pilot. And it's just been incredible to see the growth since then. Here by the end of the summer, me and my family were deciding, we're like, do we go get a bigger, brand new house, or do we start our own business? And it's so cool to be able to be in a position. I'm only 21, right? So it's so cool to be able to be in a position of choice now, and just experience that. But so that's kind of all I had for you guys, but those were my biggest tips. Try it. If you're going to do it, commit to it. And start early, seriously, start early with all the assignments. as well.
All right, let's give Maritza a big round of applause. Thank you, Maritza. I know you can't hear their claps, but I see all this, the faces smiling and with you the whole way. Phenomenal. And you are an inspiration to everybody in our team. And I like that you're right on that side of the wall right in front of me. All right. Next up, we've got Mr. Kevin Barth. And Kevin is, as you know, is our district manager in where is it, Kevin? Is it not letting me? There we go. Spotlight you. I asked you to unmute. There we go. I think you should be good now. All right. Kevin Barth is our district manager in Colorado Springs and our assistant division manager, my right-hand guy. And if I keel over, he takes over. And one of the most inspired leaders, not just in our division, in our company. Kevin ran a branch office when he was in college, when he was going to CSU. His branch sold $80,000. That was back in 2011. In the past 8 years, his district team, his district has created $8 million in sales. He's developed 40 branch managers and district managers. So 40 individuals have run offices under Kevin's tutelage and over 100 assistant managers. He's been to 15 countries, all of them with me. So I've got to experience all those with KB. He's gotten 2 super bonuses as a district manager. Every 3 years, you get a super bonus. Both of his super bonuses were $30,000. So every 3 years, he gets a $30,000 check. He used that to invest in things. And he has gotten 2 BMWs from the company. So I know he's got a lot to say in a short period of time, so I'm going to let him get to it. Mr. Kevin Barth, your assistant division manager.
Awesome. Thank you, Drew. And I've got a few things to share for you. So I'm going to share my experience of what's been happening for the last decade. This is 10 years for me from when I started. So I started around this time 10 years ago. And then I'm going to give you some keys on how you can get to where you want to go. And even just to set yourself up for better situations as well. And then I want to go over a couple things right after that as well. So we'll dive in, and really a couple things that have resonated with me that I've heard through this position, and I've realized more through my experience over the last decade. So I want to start off with it. And the first thing that really resonated with me when I heard this, and that stuck with me for a long time, is if you don't create the future you want, you must endure the future you get. So if you don't create what you want in your future, you got to put up with whatever comes your way. And I don't know about you guys, but I like being more in control of what's coming in my life, at least feeling like I'm moving in the right direction. So if you don't create the future you want, you must endure the future you get. And the second thing that's really sat with me for a really long time, and I've really seen this come into fruition this year, really after 10 years of doing this, is success is something you attract by the person you become. Success is something you attract by the person you become. And these two have really stuck with me and resonated with me. And so I want to share my story with you in the time that we have. So I'm from Colorado. I've lived in Colorado Springs for a long time. I've been in Colorado for 26 years. So when I was growing up, I was a nervous kid. I was shy. I was unsure. I was the sweaty guy. Like when I'm getting nervous, it's not fun. I was introverted. I was quiet. And I still am a lot of those things today. And I played sports growing up. I played a ton of soccer. I'm really competitive. I played soccer at a high level, won a couple state championships, and played for the Rapids Academy team. And thought I was like, the dream was become a professional soccer player. And that was my dream for 17 years while I was playing. And when you realize that that's not really, maybe that's not the thing that's going to happen in your future, you start to look for other things. And Cutco was something that hit me at a point in my life where I didn't have that soccer that was leading me towards what I wanted to do in the future. And Cutco came at a really good time for me to have better direction on how I can change my trajectory of my life, because I was unsure of a lot of the things that I wanted to do in the future. So I went to Liberty High School. I graduated in 2008. I went to CSU in Fort Collins, and when I first started, I went to school for computer engineering. So my first year I went to school for computer engineering. I lasted like a semester and a half in computer engineering, and then I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do this. And so I switched over to computer science. I had good grades. I did National Honor Society, different things like that. I was growing up. I just wanted to do well, and I didn't really know what I actually wanted to do. So eventually I switched over to business management, and that happened because of my experience with the position. And what I realized was that instead of sitting at a desk and being cooped up, I get bored really quick. So I like things that are fast paced. I like things that are going to make me better, things that are going to grow and stimulate me. So I was really attracted to this because I wanted to do something that was competitive. I wanted to do something that was fun, and I wanted to do something where I was in control. And I thought I wanted to run my own business one day, but I never knew what I wanted to run. And then this just came into a summer for me. And so I heard about the job through a letter in the mail. When I first started, my friends questioned the position. I had a couple friends really question the position. My family was supportive. My mom was like, go do it. You need to make money. You know, my mom's always supportive and very positive about what I do and all of our family. So I went for it. My friends questioned it a lot in the beginning. And you know what I'll say now is that 10 years later, and this is kind of bittersweet for me too, but 10 years later, for the friends that question things and really question my decisions and what I was doing with the job, they're really envious now. You know, my friend group, and when I go to my 10-year reunion of high school, I get called the kid who's the most successful friend that they know. I'm the kid that decided to do the thing that nobody else wanted to do over the summertime or had the you-know-what to go do. And I did it, and you guys are doing it, and you're taking steps regardless of how long you do this position in the right direction to get to where you want to be sooner. And so that's what the job has really done for me. I ran a branch office in 2011, and that was in South Colorado Springs. Our team name was Barth's Beards. My last name is Barth, and I still had a beard a decade ago. And I don't remember the last time I shaved. I don't even know what I look like if I shaved. But our team chant was Barth's Beard. It was Fear the Beard, and it was awesome. You know, as a branch manager in 2011, here's my story. I was at $8,000 in sales. I ran one interview, and I ran 0 training seminars. So I was a soccer player, so I wasn't really as active as I maybe wanted to. I can relate a lot to Trey in terms of, you know, we had school and we had sports, so it was tough to get as much experience as we would have liked to feel comfortable. So you're never going to feel like you're ready. And I never felt like I was ready, but I forced myself to be in a position that I was uncomfortable in. And that's what I've realized through the job is if you can get comfortable feeling uncomfortable, you start to really grow yourself in the right direction. So the opportunity that I saw in the branch manager experience, for those of you that are interested in it, was that I could gain experience for my resume. I knew that no matter what, even if I crashed and burned and I didn't do what I wanted to set out to do and hit my goals, I knew that on my resume was going to make me stand out amongst the crowd. No matter what, I knew that was going to make me stand out. So that was awesome. I had an opportunity to win a trip to Maui. I didn't win that trip. I had a trip to Hawaii. That was the company trip that year. That was the one trip that I didn't make. And then I hit my first trip, and then I was like, never again. I'm never missing a trip. And so you have the opportunity to win trips. I could set myself apart. Resume experience, but also me, my capacity, my skills, positivity, hardworking. And it was an opportunity to see what I could do. You know, I could increase my value as a person. I didn't understand that when I was 20, 21, 22 years old. But now that I understand that when I'm 30, running a branch office increases your value as a person. And that was amazing. And running a branch was cool. You know, Leadership Academy, I really prepared myself. Those were the two things that prepared me. Back in the day, they were 8 hours, but I learned everything from Drew. You will be set up for success as long as you just listen, you take notes, and you implement things. You don't have to do it perfectly every time, but Leadership Academy will get you trained, and so will your managers. Your managers will help you. They've done it themselves. And then you got to prepare yourself too. You got to put in effort, you got to try, you got to work, you got to do those things, and I'll share that a little later. Fast forward to 2012, that's when I became a district manager, and I've been a district manager now for the last 8 years. This was back in 2012, and I switched schools to UCCS, and I actually ended up not finishing school. I still actually have a semester left, and I would definitely finish school for those of you who are in it. I was in a position where when I first became a district manager, that's when my dad got dementia. So dementia is where you start to lose your memory. It's early stages of Alzheimer's. And that's why I decided to transfer from CSU to UCCS. I decided to go home and live back with my parents and to help take care of my dad. And so that's why I took the district manager route and finished school early. When I transferred schools, all my credits didn't transfer over, so I still have a semester left of college. And I decided to take the district manager route because school didn't pay me what I was going to get for being a district manager, and I knew that. And I knew that if I could do this opportunity and I could just go and see what I can create, we'll see what happens. That's a better alternative from doing one more, regardless. That was my decision at the point. But what it did for me, I've been able to help my parents. My dad passed away 4 years ago from Alzheimer's, and that's one of those things where I did this job and I worked my butt off as a DM to support my family. I know Maritza talks about that, but that's really close to home for me. I made that decision. I remember the flexibility. I'm so appreciative for the flexibility, going home and being able to make my dad a meal, going home and being able to just check on things, going home. And, I experienced a lot of different things as a DM that were challenging, but there's so many things that are rewarding. I was able to help my mom to pay for her mortgage for a whole year. I was able to buy my brother a car. I was able to be financially independent from, ever since I ran a branch office and not have to ever ask my parents, again, ever, no matter what, and just not have to worry about things. Being a DM, like Drew was saying, I've been to 15 countries. I've been to Budapest, Vienna, Panama, Rome, London, Prague, Costa Rica, the Bahamas. I've been to Paris, Amsterdam. We're going to Spain. I've been to a lot of places, and I love experiencing new cultures. And just because of where we work, I've been able to experience new things. And that's a cool reward along the way. As a DM, I've seen what it can do for other people. I've seen Brianna McEwen, one of my sales managers, go and work at the headquarters of General Motors, graduating with honors from Clemson, and being a rock star, working with the CFO immediately after college at the headquarters of General Motors. I've seen Keith Carnes graduate from CSU Pueblo debt-free as a assistant manager, branch manager, and sales manager, and now he's a lawyer, and he's crushing it at one of the top law firms in Colorado Springs. I've seen Colton Cundy go to, after being a DM for what he would probably consider to be not his finest time, to go out, lose tons of weight, improve his life, and see him crush it at his next venture. I've seen what it's done for people. And what it's done for me, here are a couple things. I've been able to save $100,000 before 30. I've been able to get 2 super bonuses for over $30,000 in a check. Been able to, my first full year as a district manager, we sold $550,000 in my first 8 months. And my second summer, I remember half the town was burning down in Colorado Springs. The third summer, half the town was burning down in Colorado Springs, and we crushed it. We crushed it. The adversity brought out the best in people, and that was really cool to see. Our biggest year has been $904,000 in sales. We've had over 40 branch managers and district managers promoted out of the office, and I've interviewed over 3,000 people. I've trained over 2,000 people. I know that at 30 years old that I turned this year, my resume I can give to other people, and I can have the opportunity that I want coming my way. I know that. And DM allows you to do those things, and so does BM. Here's some skills along the way. I've had incredible friends. I've been able to have hyper growth is what I consider it. It's like in the last 10 years, I've been in like this chamber of hyper growth. I talked to one of my friends the other day, and man, it was like he was 10 years younger than me, and we're the same age, and we were best friends in high school and in elementary school and in middle school. And it's like I don't even know him anymore. It's nuts. It's like this hyper growth chamber that I've been in for the last 10 years. I have an unreal network. I don't have to worry about money. I can say that proudly. I have better health. I've read more books than I would have. I've gotten better. I've learned how to make a budget. I've learned how to invest. I've learned how to create passive income. I've learned emotional intelligence. I've learned journaling. I've learned traveling and experiencing new cultures. I've learned how to do my taxes. I've learned the benefits of leasing and buying a car. I've learned how to motivate myself. I've learned how to work on habits and improve. I've learned how to manage my sleep schedule, energy management, time management, personal growth, confidence, capacity, determination, goal setting. And it's just opened up my eyes to a new way of thinking, a completely new way of thinking. And communication was something that I was extremely uncomfortable with when I first did this job, and even till as of recent. And now I can talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime, no matter what. And this opportunity can do that for you too. Whether you're here for 10 years or whether you're here for 1, it gives you the ability to be able to get closer to where you want to be sooner. So I got 4 keys for you. First one, count yourself in. Let your manager know you're interested. There's too much available for you here to not count yourself in. At least count yourself in. Give yourself an opportunity to see what you can do. You have nothing to lose. You either win or you get better. Remember, you either win or you get better. You can't lose. The only lose is no try. Okay? Number 2, put yourself in a position of choice. Put yourself in a position of choice. Drew's going to base things off of 3 things: sales, skills, and savings. What I would suggest, train as if you're going to be a branch manager regardless. Because why not? You're going to be the best trained assistant manager. You're going to be the best trained AM regardless. And even regardless, you're going to get the most out of your opportunity. Act as if, and put yourself in a position of choice. Third one, you got to earn it. Stand out when it's time to stand out. This push week is a great opportunity to stand out. When the lights are on, stand out. Great opportunity. And you know what an even better opportunity is to stand out? When the lights are off. That's the best time to shine, when the lights are off, when no one's watching. So be consistent. Discipline creates freedom in your life, and you'll realize that more and more as you create more discipline through this position. Be so good it forces us to promote you, focus on you, sell a lot for you, so you get more out of the position. Save a lot for you, not for Drew, not for me, not for your branch, for you. Because those skills and those habits that you create for yourself long-term are the skills and the habits that you want to have when you're 30. I'm telling you now, you do. I promise. Okay? Leadership academies, make the most of them. I used to sleep with my interview on my nightstand and my training script on my nightstand because Drew told me that he did it too. And I was like, I want to be this guy. This guy's won freaking so many silver cups and has produced so much in sales. I'm going to do what he does. Regardless of where I'm at in my, career, I'm going to do what he does. Improve. Spend the time to train because you can't go wrong. And the people that get paid the most, remember this, they don't get paid to train. The people that get paid most in life, they don't get paid to train. Professional athletes, actors and actresses, musicians, they do all of this on their own time. It's incredible. Remember, success is something that you attract by the person you become. And the last one is show up and keep showing up. I say this every time I give a management speech, but show up and keep showing up. Outlast people. Outlast people. The longer you wait, the bigger the reward. The longer you wait, the bigger your reward. So enjoy the process. Be patient, but be aggressive when you need to. Be patient, but be aggressive. And show up and keep showing up. You don't have to feel great every single time, but get dressed, get to the office, get stuff done, and the magic will happen. And here's the last thing that I'll say. I didn't start this way. I didn't start this way at all. It's been a journey. And here's what I've learned is that you write your own story. No matter if it's here or somewhere else, you write your own story. Being successful is hard. Being broke is hard too. You got to pick your hard. You got to pick your hard. I'd rather try and be successful and fail than be comfortable and stagnant for the rest of my life. I'd rather try and be successful and fail than be stagnant and comfortable. Make the most of your opportunities ahead. You can do it, and you can create the best mental health for yourself, the best shape of your life, buy a house, and have your third BMW by your 32 if you want to stick around for 10 years like I did. So thank you guys.
Let's give it up for Mr. Kevin Barr. Gosh, I love that. You know what I love most about Vector is the support that everybody has for their teammates. I just got a bunch of text messages from your counterparts saying how impressed they were with that. Thank you, Kevin. Unbelievable as always. Our next speaker is right in house with me, so I'm going to introduce him. We've got 2 more speakers. We've got Mr. Michael Athens talking about how Branch helped him become a better CSP, and then we have our wrap-up speaker, Ms. Athena Lopez. I know that it's push week, and a lot of you probably have 4 p.m. demos. I promise you, we have a hard stop, even though we're a few minutes over. I talk a lot. Anytime anytime I run a meeting, just give me an extra 10. Just give me an extra buffer of 10 and you'll be good. You'll learn that as you go through Leadership Academy. Now this is your first intro. But anyway, we've got Michael and then Athena's going to wrap us up. If you've got a demo at 4, I promise you're good. If you have to jump early, I understand, but please make sure you stay the whole time you can. But we got Michael Athens, and I'm going to talk about him as he takes the chair here. But Michael started off, went to Heritage High School here in Littleton, graduated as a senior. I remember his training. He was in like an 100-person training. It was in an auditorium because we had such big recruiting that we had to rent out a hotel auditorium space. And Michael was like 10 rows deep, and like the first 2 minutes of training, some girl made a snarky comment when I said, "How's everyone doing?" And she made some snarky comment, and then I asked her politely to leave, and then Michael's like, "All right, I'm staying. I like this," and so apparently that's why Michael stayed in training. There were also 4 Michaels in that training. I couldn't get them all figured out, and by the end of it, this one made it out on top. All right, so $80,000, or no, that was Kevin's bio. I'll show you. $1.5 million in sales. Michael's in the Hall of Fame for Cutco, went to CU Boulder, bought his first home before graduating from college. I've spent so much time with this guy when he was a rep, an assistant manager, and then when he ran his branch, spent 4 years in college, and one is, in my mind, one of the greatest student sales reps in company history, won 3 All-American scholarships, and just somebody who is always the nicest guy in the room, always there for other people, always smiling, and just a joy to be around. And I'm so happy that he chose CSP because I've been able to spend the last decade working side by side with this guy. He says that he's also, I asked him about travel, and he said he's been on a shitload of trips. So that's his vector travel. And anyway, when he ran his branch office, it was in Westminster. His office name was the Westminster Wolfpack, and we used to get really cheap office space. And his office was on a 2-story, it looked like a motel, construction building. And it was a liquor store, a gun store, a bail bond store, a pawn shop, another liquor store, and then a couple doors with boarded up windows. And his office was right in the middle. And on the wall there was this giant globe, like painted, like a giant picture of the earth. And I was like, Michael, look at all the places you can go starting from right here. And that was his branch office, and it was the coolest thing. I remember that so vividly. But Michael's going to share how CSP helped him, or excuse me, how branch helped him become a better CSP. He's going to be quick, but you're going to like this.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. How's it going? You guys can't answer me, but hopefully you're doing great. So as Drew said, my name is Michael Athens. I've been here a little over a decade, and I would not trade any part of my vector experience for anything. It has been one of the most amazing journeys. So to kind of give you the quick rundown on where I started, where I've come from, like Drew said, grew up here in Littleton, Colorado, so I am a native. Came out in the summer of '09, and just kind of didn't really know what I was getting into, didn't really expect to succeed or do anything. I was like, selling knives, that sounds kind of weird, but I don't really have any other options, so I'll give it a shot. And I think I ended up kind of being like the manager's perfect person because I just followed everything Drew said and did not make anything up. I just read my manual. I, smiled and nodded and said, hey, do you want to place the order? And surprise, surprise, it worked out for me. And I didn't really have like a crazy average order or anything like that. It was maybe like 300 or something like that. But I just did a ton of appointments. Drew broke out the numbers for me. I was like, hey, if you do this many appointments, this is how much you'll make. So when I went into the summer, I was expecting to earn like $2,000. My goal was to sell 10K, get the dirty 30, earn 2,000. And I thought that would be good. That'll make me feel successful with this summer. And ended up doing that in about 3 weeks. And so decided, hey, I have 2 opportunities here. I can either take my foot off the gas now that I'm at this higher percentage, or I can go full force and see really how much I can do this summer. And I decided to really go full force and ended the summer. I actually started a week from now. So you guys still have, if you started today, you have an extra week on when I started for the summer. But I did just under 30K in about 10 weeks. And so I earned just under $10,000 in those last 10 weeks of my first summer. Decided I wanted to go assistant manager for that next summer. So I worked in Drew's office. I spent 5 days-ish a week in the office, learning the programs, running interviews, helping out with training, just learning the nuts and bolts of the management process, and then sold on 1.5 days-ish for the rest of that week. And the thing that was crazy is just through like putting in the reps of working as an assistant manager, I was able to dial in so that in that first summer, I sold 30K in 10 weeks, working full time. That's all I did, to be able to go to being an assistant manager, doing 1 or 2 days a week selling, and go to 20K in sales, earning another 10 grand that summer just in my sales on top of my office pay. So that's kind of, that was a really awesome experience for me to see, oh, wow, if I put in the work as a manager, my sales will grow exponentially as well. From there, I decided to go for branch. And really for me, branch for me was all about the resume experience, because I don't know where you're at on the spectrum. You know, there's some people here that are like, you know what, I'm doing vector for the rest of my life. I'm ride or die. This is what I'm going to do. Some of you are thinking like, I don't know what I'm doing here, but there's opportunities in front of me. I'm going to at least put my feet in the water. And I was somewhere in the middle. Like, I knew I was going to at least do this through college, but didn't know kind of how far it would go after that. This is coming 10 years later. So obviously I liked it, stuck around, but I knew that I wanted to set myself up for, if I decided not to do Cutco later, that I had the best shot at getting my whatever dream job that would come afterwards. And so for me, I was focused on what would make me look like the best candidate to someone else. Not only would that be sales, but it's also management. And so for me, I really wanted to make a splash by running an office, because no one else can come out of college at 21, 22 and say, oh yeah, I ran an office for 3 months during the summer. I hired and trained over 50 people. We sold, for me, it was 70 grand or so. So nothing crazy, but also was still profitable, made money that summer. So to be able to come out of that and say, oh yeah, I did all of this. I found an office space. I hired and trained a staff. I did all the taxes. We, ran sales meetings. I ran interviews. All of that stuff looks amazing. And so regardless of kind of what I thought I was going to do after, I knew that I wanted to have that in place, so that I had the opportunity to take whatever road I wanted after. And some of the things that I learned that really set me up for success, not only in just becoming a CSP afterwards, but also if I decide ever to do something else, which I don't see on the horizon, but hustle. Like, one of the biggest things was just like how much your hustle grows when it's not just your paycheck depending on it, but when you have people out there that are depending on you to show up, and to show up powerfully, so that they can show up powerfully as well. They have permission then to go and work hard and to go after their dreams. Managing a team, working with employees as well as sales reps, because they're kind of two different animals, and just learning those skills to see how you can help people see what's in it for them, what's their goal, and how you guys can work together and co-create to create the most action, the most success for everyone involved. What a real business is like, because being a CSP, being a salesperson really is running a business. But when you see what it's like when the stakes are much higher, when you see what it's like when you have to have things like office space and you have employees, it sets it up so much, because I don't think there's probably any CSPs out there that aren't now running teams of people that are handling their admin and doing all these cool things to help them be able to focus on their one thing, to focus on how they can create the most sales out of their time. And all of those skills I learned when I was doing my branch. Honestly, the other part that was the best was just how much fun it was. Like Drew talked about, we were the Westminster Wolfpack. I used to make my entire, our chant at conferences was that we would all howl. And as part of my interview process, people had to show that they were willing to be a team member and willing to play along and have, the right spirit. So I remember running an interview one time where these two women came in, and I was like, okay, so I want to make sure that you guys are team players. So I need to hear you guys show that you want to be part of the Wolfpack and howl for me. And they wouldn't do it. And so I was able to, as the leader of the office, as the manager, like, should I probably have, given them a further chance? Maybe. But for me, I knew that I wanted people that were going to be fun and were going to really work as a team. And so I was able to say, hey, good luck on whatever you find after this, but we want people that are going to be team players, and be able to say, I don't think you're right for the team. Like, that is so fun to be able to be completely in control of your office and to make whatever type of culture you want. To go from, just leading yourself as a salesperson to be a leader of culture, to be a leader of a group of people is really a fun place to be. How that's really served me as a CSP now. So there's lots of different things that I've already talked about, but it sets you so much further on the path to mastery. And I really find that as an important thing in whatever you do, is to continue seeing yourself not as the master, but striving for mastery. And when you spend every week teaching people the fundamentals of how to do this, you become so much better. And I love this quote by Bruce Lee. That's, I don't fear the man that knows 1,000 kicks. I fear the man that has practiced a one kick 1,000 times. And when you go teaching, dozens of reps day in and day out, this is how you do it, and this is the way you do it right, and this is why you do it and why it's important. When you get back into the field, you're just on fire. You find that flow state so much faster to be able to just go in, connect instantly with people, and to really dive to the deepest parts and create the most potential transformation for your people, and helping them see where the real value is. So that's one of the best things. It's also just when you go from being responsible for all of these people and taking full advantage of the branch and all of the things that come with that, going back to just selling is easy. It's just simple. So it makes it feel like you can do whatever you want, because all you have to do is really simple things of getting on the phone, booking appointments, and you can just explode. So you feel like you have so much more time. You've dialed in those time management skills so that you can make the most of the effort you put in. And it really just so simple to go out and sell after that, especially when you have that leverage of that mastery that you've worked on for the last few months. A couple of things, just why I chose CSP. I really value my freedom. I value my independence. So being able to decide, I think in a couple of weeks I want to go take a vacation. Like, I've really wanted to go see this place, or hey, I really want to focus on this for a while. I want to dive into this topic, or whatever it is. I can just decide with my time, and the only person that really gets affected by it is me. So there's kind of that, just, I guess, freedom and playfulness in it, where for me, I really have complete control. And that's kind of one of the fun things. But the things you miss out on are really the leadership aspects of it. That's been one of the best parts about coming back and working with Drew, with, up and comers in our CSP program and part of the realtor program, is I get to go in and have those leadership moments that you miss out on by going CSP. And so really that's the best part, is when, if you decide to go CSP, you don't have to give that up. But either way, focus on those things where you can add value to other people, because that's what really makes you come alive, even more so than the paychecks that we can make. So yeah, I would definitely say, no matter what you plan to do, whether you think you'll even be in Cutco in the next couple of years, there's no reason not to run a branch, because no matter what, you're going to learn from it. You're going to learn more about yourself, skills, leadership, and the sales. Like, you absolutely have to do it, because it'll teach you more than, it taught me more than my entire 4 years in college. And I got paid to do it. Like, what's better than that?
Let's give it up for Michael Athens. Michael, really, really good. The most fun part about my job now is I just get to sit back and listen and enjoy our superstars. And Michael, to see what you've become over the last decade has been an unbelievable blessing for me, and I appreciate your time. Let's give it up one more time for Mr. Michael Athens. All right, our last and final speaker. Again, I know some of you may have demos and appointments coming up in a bit, but you do not want to miss out on Miss Athena Lopez. And Athena is one of my closest friends, and she's been one of the closest and best supporters of the Rocky Mountain Division for so many years. She was out in Amarillo, Texas, out in the panhandle of Texas, running her first office after she was a rep and paid her way through school. She was just like all your speakers. She was a natural leader, volleyball captain, volleyball player in college, and a great student athlete. Paid her way through school with Cutco. She's over $3.5 million in sales as a manager. She's been to Prague, Costa Rica, Germany, Cayman Islands, France, Mexico. She's promoted 5 district managers, 11 branch managers, and she in her biggest bonus year, 2018, she got $70,000 in bonuses in 2018 as a district manager. Athena is one of the most passionate leaders in our organization. The people that she develops are good people, authentic leaders, genuine, and always pay it forward. And she's the type of person that lives and leads a selfless lifestyle, and that's how she runs her business too. One of the greatest additions to our division that we've ever had, Miss Athena Lopez, to finish us up.
Well, hi everyone. I'm going to do my best to keep it brief, but I wanted to start off by telling you a little bit about me. So my first office was in Amarillo, Texas, yes, but I was born and raised in northern New Mexico. I was raised on a small reservation in northern New Mexico. I'm not going to tell you the name of the reservation because you're not going to know where it is. That's how small it is. But yeah, so grew up there. In 2013, I got a letter in the mail from the company. I know a lot of you also received a letter in the mail, right? How many of you got a letter in the mail? A few of you? Yeah, cool. So I got a letter in the mail. I was in my second official year of college, and I started in our Santa Fe office. I was very familiar with the product. In fact, I grew up with Cutco. I didn't know a whole lot about knives, but I knew that I loved the spatula spreader. And I knew that if my mom owned it and used it every day, there were probably several other moms just like her. I also knew that I needed a new job. My job before working with Vector was at a national park. I was a backcountry tour guide, so I took people backpacking. It was incredibly fun, but it was exhausting and people were awful. So I needed something that fit my crazy schedule. So when I started with Vector and Cutco, I was a very young mom, and my son was a baby when I started. And I was going to school full time, and as Drew mentioned, I was playing volleyball at New Mexico Highlands University, so a small school out in Las Vegas, New Mexico. My first summer as a rep was a whirlwind. I spent most of my time focused on the day-to-day. I had class every morning in Las Vegas, and then I had demos in the afternoon in the Santa Fe area, sometimes beyond Santa Fe. So I had to drive about an hour, sometimes over an hour, most days to get to all of my appointments. But one thing that was definitely different for me is I never focused on CPO. To be honest, I just never felt I had the time to care about that. Instead, I really just focused on my effort. I focused on the amount of demos I completed each day. Honestly, I just focused on how many pineapples can I cut each day. That's really it. That's all I focused on. And I don't really remember a whole lot about my first summer. I just had a birthday, so I'm actually ancient, so my memory is a little groggy now. But I do remember I remember my assistant manager promotion was very surprising. I was 3 weeks into the job and I actually walked into my office to collect a contest payout with my manager. And my manager, Nate, he pulled me aside and he said, "Hey, you work really hard. I think you'd be a great assistant manager. So congrats, you're an assistant manager." And that was my AM promotion. I had no other knowledge of the position at all. So if you're already promoted, if you're already an assistant manager, I hope your manager gave you a little more to go on because I had absolutely no idea what I was supposed to do. I'd never been an assistant manager anywhere before, but I had been very fortunate. I had been fortunate enough to hold leadership positions in sports. And in sports, I'd learned that the best way to lead a team was to lead by example. So that's really what I did. I led by example as much as I could. And again, I don't remember a whole lot about my first summer, but I do remember wrapping up the summer as a top rep in my office. And honestly, I was completely surprised because, again, I never really focused on the CPO. And I still felt like there was so much more for me to accomplish. And throughout the fall and the spring that year, around my son Landon and around school and volleyball, my focus was sales and leadership academy. My goal was really to finish school debt free and learn how to operate a business. Leadership Academy and Drew really taught me that. Leadership Academy also showed me that I was capable of so much more, and my only limitation in life was me. You know, growing up on a small reservation, I was taught that what you see is what you get, and that's it. That's just how life is. And I wasn't okay with that, and I wanted more. So I spent one more summer in our Santa Fe office, and this was by far the most impactful summer I had ever had in my life leading up to that point. It was the summer I was a sales manager. As a sales manager, I continued to do my best to lead by example in sales, but what was so cool was the fact that it wasn't just about me anymore. It was about our team, and it was about how my actions impacted the people around me. As a sales manager, I loved that position. I really had the privilege of running the office. I just didn't have to worry about paying the bills, so that was fun. And what I learned quickly was that leadership is not a position or a title. It is action, and it's example. And everything that I did, my team did. There were points where this was scary, because if I was having an off week, then it usually came down to my entire team had an off week. But it was also really fun because it kept me on my toes, and it forced me to level up, and it forced me to intentionally seek the best version of myself as much as I knew how. And it really forced me to step out of my comfort zone, because if I was afraid of something, how could I tell someone on my team that it was okay to be afraid, but do it anyway, right? And my team followed suit. That summer, I learned what it is to be a great recruiter, which is actually my favorite part of the job. I learned how to connect with everyone. I also learned how to connect with people over the phone. So I don't know if any of you have ever made PR calls before, but this was my favorite part of the job as a sales manager. Honestly, my favorite part of the day was when someone would come into their interview and wait around at the end just so that they could say hi to me as a follow-up to our phone call. I learned how to help people be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that really showed through a whole lot of my reps. I think about Esperanza Vallejo. When I met her for her interview, she actually whispered her name to me. She said, "Hi, I'm Esperanza." And I remember like chuckling. I was like, "Hi, Esperanza," because I'm this big bubbly person. She went from being someone who whispered her name to me in her interview to being someone who stood on chairs and screamed at the top of her lungs and just cheered people on for SC2 push. So I learned that, I remember that summer reading something that a really good friend of mine wrote. You might actually know him. His name is Michael Jordan. He said, "Talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence win championships." And I wanted more of that. I'd always been a part of teams, and I wanted to build my own team. So in 2015, I took my finals a week early, and I moved out to Amarillo, Texas to open a district office. And being a DM has been an incredible adventure. I'd say aside from being a mom, it has been my favorite adventure. Being a DM has meant growth, not just within me, but within my people. And to me, that means more than any growth I've seen in myself. Being a DM has taught me that life has absolutely nothing to do with circumstance. Your life is determined by you and your effort. Being a DM is fun. Being a DM means having the opportunity to travel the world with my best friends. My son at 8, he's able to say that he's seen more of the world than most of our family will in their entire lives. I mean, we did a bioluminescent kayaking tour. Are you kidding me? He was 5 and he got a massage on the beach in Costa Rica. Like, are you serious? That's what being a DM means. Being a DM means never having to worry about money. Kevin and Maritza mentioned it. It gives you an opportunity to support your family. For me, it's been several times over. It's been an opportunity to say, "Hey, Mom, don't worry, I've got your expenses for the month. Check your account. It's there." $70,000 in bonus money, not including what I earned that year. $70,000 in bonus paid for 3 years at one of the top private schools in New Mexico. Whereas me growing up, I could only dream of that. So being a DM, again, means unbelievable growth in every aspect of life. Kevin said it, he learned how to do his taxes. He learned how to invest. I had no idea that there was, that you had the ability that money had the ability to grow on itself. And now my money works for me, Being a DM is standing out. It's being different. It is just experiencing unbelievable things that most people can only dream of. Being a DM, more than anything for me, means family. I met my spouse in Vector. My best friends are Vector people. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So why would you spend your life with average people? You know, I only have 2 brothers by blood, but my son has Uncle Drew and Uncle Kev and Uncle Maz, and countless aunts. You know, the people you meet here support you no matter what phase of life you're in, no matter what you're going through. They stay with you forever. I think about people like Bernice Altamirano, Miss Bernie Mac, as I call her. So Bernie, she started with me in the summer of 2015 in the weirdest time of my first summer. And she's now one of my best friends. She ran a branch office. She just graduated nursing school. She was able to graduate completely debt-free a year early with honors. She was in the top 3% of her class. She's about to start medical school, and she is crushing being a mom to my goddaughter and her brand new baby sister. Being a DM means impacting others. It's helping others create the life that they're proud to live. I think about David Steele. David, when I met him, he came to his interview. He might be your DM. When I met David, he came to his interview in a camouflage muscle tee. Okay, let me tell you, a camouflage muscle tee. Who wears that, first of all? If you wear that, throw it away, gross. But that's what he came to his interview in. And now if you look at David, like, he is sharp. As Drew says, he is a tall glass of water, right? But no, and even when David started, he went from being someone who thought really hard about creating a life that his mom was able to be proud of. And now he's able to support his mom. I think about Celine Huizar, our Santa Fe DM. She's like a little sister to me. When I met her, she couldn't even make a phone call. I had to dial the number for her and then hand it over to her. And she went on to be the number 2 branch in the Rocky Mountain Division in 2017. And she never thought about leaving home. You know, she thought that Plainview, Texas is where she would spend her life. She had the courage at 19 to leave Plainview, Texas, move out to Amarillo, and then move out to Santa Fe. She left the state, and she was able to pursue a career that was terrifying to her. I think about Marissa Edwards. Couldn't even order a pizza on the phone. And she graduated at the top of her class at GCU. This year alone, she's created her own online classroom for her students. And using the skills that she's gained to manage her emotions, she has developed into an incredible educator. And it's just unbelievable growth within my people. And Drew says, how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? And everyone on this call has the potential to achieve incredible greatness in your life. And it can all start here. You know, Kev just said it. Success in life starts with the person you become. It starts with leadership. Leadership is so important because it sets the tone. It's about how you show up, right? Some of you are on this meeting because you're an AM and your manager said, I need you to be on. Some of you might be on here because you might know that you already want to gain the experience of running an office, right? You want to go branch, you want to be DM. Some of you might even be here because your manager did what mine did and just told you to be on here and like didn't give you any other explanation. Whatever the reason is, you are seen as a leader in your organization. And leadership starts with a few things, okay? So leadership is about attitude. Drew mentioned this at the beginning of the call. It's about attitude. I live my life by 2 things. 1, DBAA, don't be an asshole. Be nice to everybody. 2, leave it all behind the yellow tape. Whatever life has going on for you, no matter what, when you open your computer and you're ready to work, when you hop into a demo, whatever's going on, leave it outside. Put a strip of yellow tape outside of your room, outside of your office, outside, like around your computer, whatever you have in life going on, leave it all behind the yellow tape. Leadership is participation in everything. Every idea matters. Your DM's name might be on like plaques and trophies right now, sure. But Drew said it best. There is no way that one person would be able to run an organization at a top level alone. So every idea you have matters. Leadership is having that learning mentality. It is communication. Trust me, your DM does not care what is going on as long as they know what's going on. In most cases, they will probably help you move the body. I'm just kidding. Don't take anyone up on that. They just need to know what's going on. It is event attendance. It's sales consistency. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. every single person in a leadership position is an equal shareholder in their organization, right? And the actions that are taken from this point will set the tone for your team and honestly for the rest of your life. So as a leader, give yourself permission to take ownership of your organization. If your office has a good week, awesome. It's because you worked as a team, right? If your office has a tough week where you either dipped in sales or in recruiting, it was because something was missing. But no matter what your business looks like, it was a team effort, and take ownership of that. So I'll wrap you up with this. Again, leadership is not a position or a title. It is action and example. So that's all I have for you. I'm sorry.
Let's give it up for Miss Athena Lopez. Don't apologize for anything. I'm the one who made us late, not you. You were perfect as always. Athena, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for your time, your attention, and putting yourself in a position of choice for the future. I think every speaker gave the goods, and I love that we had different speakers with different experiences. Maritza, Trey, KB, Athena, and Michael Athens. Thank you guys so much. That was unbelievable content. I hope everybody got a couple ideas and thoughts for your future. Again, it is SC1 push, so we've got 2 weeks ahead of us to make a big impact on our current sales and again, our future opportunities. Thank you so much for being here, and looking forward to the next event. Key Staff tomorrow night, 5 p.m. For anybody over 3K in sales, we're gonna be talking about stress and talking about how to handle objections tomorrow night, 5 p.m. And again, 2 weeks from now, we've got our Summer Conference 1 on July 1st from 11 till 4 p.m. It's gonna blow your mind. It's gonna be stacked with CSPs teaching high level skills. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great day. See ya.
Go